Just a few hours before her death in January 2006, Shelley Winters made a quiet and unexpected decision. She chose to marry. There was no church, no large gathering, and no traditional ceremony. Inside a hospital room in Beverly Hills, a simple legal procedure was carried out beside her bed. The man who had stood beside her for years, Jerry DeFord, remained close as the two were officially declared husband and wife. It was a quiet moment that unfolded during the final hours of a woman who had spent nearly her entire life under studio lights and in front of film cameras. On screen, Shelley Winters often portrayed women who were far from idealized. They were angry, exhausted, uncertain, and sometimes desperate. Yet those rough and complicated characters were exactly what made audiences remember her long after the glamorous images of early Hollywood faded. Long before she became known to the world as Shelley Winters, she was a girl named Shirley Scrift. She was born on August 18, 1920, in St. Louis, Missouri. Her father, Jonas Scrift, worked as a tailor and designer of men's clothing, while her mother, Rose Winter, had once performed as a singer in productions at the St. Louis Municipal Opera Theater. The family carried Jewish immigrant roots from Central and Eastern Europe, a heritage shaped by migration, labor, and the constant effort to build a stable life in a new country. While Shirley was still young, the family moved to New York City, first settling in Brooklyn and later in Queens. These neighborhoods were filled with immigrant families and working-class communities. Life revolved around small businesses, manual labor, and the daily effort to keep household finances from collapsing. Shirley grew up in that environment. Her family was not deeply poor, but their stability was always fragile. A difficult turning point arrived during her childhood. Her father was accused of setting fire to his own clothing shop in order to collect insurance money. He was later convicted and served time in Sing Sing prison. For a child growing up in a tight immigrant community, the event carried more than family disappointment. It also brought whispers, judgment, and the uncomfortable attention of neighbors. Years later, Shelley Winters rarely described the details of that time, but she often suggested that her childhood changed permanently after that moment. The sense of security within the family disappeared, replaced by the realization that life could shift suddenly and that each person would eventually have to stand on their own. During her teenage years in New York City, Shirley began discovering another world. School plays and small stage performances gave her a place where emotions could be transformed into characters. She became fascinated with film actresses of the era, women who appeared to live in a completely different world from the neighborhoods where she had grown up. Gradually, a serious thought formed in her mind. If there was a path beyond the limits of ordinary life, perhaps it existed in acting. The road toward that dream began slowly. Before she could dedicate herself to acting, Shirley worked several ordinary jobs. She was a sales clerk at a Woolworth Company store, worked as a model, appeared in vaudeville performances, and took part in nightclub acts. Those early jobs helped her survive financially, but they also gave her a first experience of performing in front of audiences. One moment from this early period stayed in her memory for the rest of her life. When Hollywood began searching nationwide for an actress to play Scarlett O'Hara in Gone with the Wind, Shirley joined thousands of young women who auditioned. She did not receive the role, but the experience brought advice that later shaped her future. Director George Cukor suggested that if she truly wanted to pursue acting, she should study the craft seriously. The door to Hollywood did not open immediately, but the advice gave her direction. Shirley began studying acting at the New School in New York. Later she joined the Famous Actors Studio, where performers were encouraged to explore characters through real emotional experience. That training gradually transformed Shirley Scrift into Shelley Winters, an actress whose performances would carry not only technique, but also the weight of personal experience. The early 1940s marked the beginning of her professional life. In 1941, she appeared on Broadway in the play The Night Before Christmas. The production closed quickly, but simply stepping onto a Broadway stage represented an important milestone. Another opportunity soon followed. In 1942, she joined the operetta Rosalinda, which ran for more than 600 performances. Night after night, she stood before audiences, learning how to sustain energy and maintain a character through repetition. That demanding rhythm built the discipline that would shape her acting style for decades. Hollywood soon appeared on the horizon. In 1943, she made her first film appearance in There's Something About a Soldier. The role was extremely small and her name did not appear in the credits. Yet it marked the first moment she stood in front of a film camera. During the following years, she continued working in small parts in films such as What a Woman, Escape in the Fog, and Tonight and Every Night. Most of these appearances lasted only a few scenes. Audiences rarely noticed her, but she continued returning to the set day after day. That steady work taught her how Hollywood functioned. She learned how to restrain performances for the camera and how to endure long hours of waiting between takes. Within the studio system, an actor could work constantly and still remain almost invisible. That quiet persistence continued until 1947, when she appeared in A Double Life opposite Ronald Colman. She played a waitress whose life becomes entangled with a stage actor gradually consumed by the role of Othello. The part was not glamorous. She played an ordinary woman, vulnerable and uncertain. Yet her restrained performance created a powerful impression. Critics began mentioning her work, surprised that an actress previously known only for minor roles could bring such emotional weight to a character. Soon afterward, Universal Pictures signed her to a long-term contract. Her career began to shift. In 1948, she appeared in Red River, the Western directed by Howard Hawks and starring John Wayne. That same year, she appeared in the crime film Cry of the City. By 1949, she had taken on the role of Myrtle Wilson in The Great Gatsby, based on the novel by F. Scott Fitzgerald. Another memorable performance followed in Winchester 73 in 1950 alongside James Stewart. But the true turning point arrived in 1951 with A Place in the Sun. In that film, she played Alice Tripp, a factory worker whose life becomes tragically entangled with a young man trying to escape poverty and enter high society. Her performance earned her an Academy Award nomination and revealed a depth many had not previously recognized. Despite that success, Hollywood continued offering her roles built around her appearance rather than her acting ability. Determined to change that perception, she returned to serious training at the Actors Studio. The effort soon appeared on screen. In 1955, she delivered a haunting performance in The Night of the Hunter opposite Robert Mitchum. 2 years later, she appeared in A Hatful of Rain, earning another Academy Award nomination. Then came the role that transformed her reputation completely.